So while they're taking care of getting their stuff set, The next piece that we have for you guys is, I'm going to start out heavy and say this is probably my favorite slow piece for band ever written. I often talk about like the difficulty of pieces, and I truly think that the most difficult music to sell is slow music. Oftentimes just because of the measure of emotion and buy-in that needs to go from the performer to the audience. And that is not an easy thing to do while you're thinking about what note's coming next. How in tune am I? Am I in time? What's the trumpet doing that I need to be thinking about, listening to? All of that other stuff that goes on in your head, all while trying to convey the emotion of the piece. And this is a piece that does have it's got a lot of really. When I've been talking to these guys about it, I've been kind of equating it to like a mountain range. I'm feeling that there's a lot of peaks and valleys through this, and there are many times when you feel like you've reached that peak and it comes back down, and then there's a bigger one next to it, and then there's a larger one next to it, and it keeps just increasing that emotion throughout. This piece is very much a kind of tale between the idea of tension and release, the idea of something that's causing pain or grief, and then something that resolves, something that moves on. And you're going to hear some points throughout the piece that it's not necessarily like the modern band, like dissonance, some notes are crunching. You're going to hear like notes that just might sound wrong. And that's my way of kind of protecting them in case they make the wrong notes you think they were supposed to happen. No, you'll hear some stuff in there that just feels like oh man, what's like that third trombone player doing or something? It's like, no, that's part of the tension that builds into that release. The amount of just the amount of focus, the amount of we've been talking about like, what if you only got one chance to play it, which is oftentimes the case, right? We only really perform this music once. Sometimes if we're lucky, we get to do it a couple times. But the idea of giving your all to something that you're going to get to play one time, you're going to get to experience with an audience one time, and how are you going to leave that remembering, right? How much are you going to be able to, as everyone likes to say, lock in and feel really deliver that emotion to the audience to make an impactful performance. That's a lot of what we've been talking about this. The piece is called Hymn to a Blue Hour. It's by John Mackey. Some of you guys might remember this group playing Aurora Awakes last year. And if you remember that, if you recall some of the sounds in there, you'll hear some similar things. You can tell it's written by the same person. But I think the emotion and those peaks within this piece, I think are almost unmatched. I absolutely love this piece, and I know although we're going to take a big breath together and be like, okay, here we go. I know that they've come to really enjoy it as well. So I hope you enjoy it. This is Hymn to a Blue Hour. Something really poignant, and then we figure it out.
you.